You're watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media, shifting global consciousness at consciousevolutionmedia.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide. You can hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free news and talk mobile app available for your smartphones, smart TVs, and cars. And when you download Stitcher to hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network, you have a chance to win some money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. Download it. It's free and just takes a few seconds. Then, during registration, hit the promo code box and enter RCRN to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episode of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand. No syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code RCRN when you register at www.stitcher.com/RCRN.
Today's man needs to be whole, more than just providing financial security for their relationships and families. Join us as we explore the social conditioning that has and is systematically disempowering men. By becoming awake and aware, we can reverse that conditioning, especially for the boys. Here are your hosts of the Radical Man Internet TV show, Dr. Grant Crewley, Sensei, and Coach Steve Todd.
Welcome everybody to the Radical Man. With our host Grant Crewley, Sensei Grant, and Coach Steve Toth, myself, the founder of Conscious Evolution Media and Real Coaching Radio and TV Network. And here we are in 2013. Happy New Year, Sensei.
Thank you, Steve. Happy New Year to you too.
And to all of our viewers as well. This is going to be one heck of a year.
Yeah, it'll be a powerful year.
I don't know about you, but I can certainly feel it, is that all the 9 years that I put into this network, this is it.
Oh, so this is your 9th year?
This is my 9th year.
So that's numerically, for numerology, that's very important. It's also my 9th year of marriage.
It's the highest number in the universe.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome.
There are no coincidences. So our theme for this evening is New Year resolutions and how to keep them, right?
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Otherwise, it's just a useless conversation. You know, I find it so interesting that a lot of people, and we're actually in this business. By the way, love our new logo because it's a heart. And what we are all about, I believe, on this network, that's definitely what I'm all about, is the connection of the heart.
Yeah, I was admiring that myself. That was that your idea? Did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah, the heart and the earth.
Yeah.
The earth doesn't have to be round. I mean, it's been flat and it's been round. It's time for it to be heart-shaped.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Yeah, I like the
Why
name
not?
Too. Conscious Evolution Media is a very excellent name.
Yeah, I feel that it's. I think it talks to a lot of people. It requires really no explanation.
Tell us. I would like to know from you, your vision when you think of Conscious Evolution Media. What is your vision of what it's doing, what it's accomplishing, or what you want it to do?
Yeah, well, the vision is to really cause a shift in consciousness on the entire planet. That's the vision. And how we do that is, instead of just talking about consciousness and talking about evolution, we can choose to be it. Like, I can be it. I can be conscious. I can choose to be conscious more and more. And all of our hosts, as well as all of our guests, can choose that. And by example, I feel that we can make a huge shift on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love being part of it. How about when it comes to Conscious Evolution Media? What's your vision of its impact on the men, the male side of society, especially for the boys that are being born now or are in their teens and trying to find themselves?
Well, the impact, I feel, is, number one, we are a visual network. We are media. So that means that, most people are visual. So I see Conscious Evolution Media as the YouTube of consciousness. Like, anything that anybody that wants to know about being awake, being conscious, they come to our network.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can go look all over the internet and keep searching for conscious media content, but that takes a long time. So you can just come here and get it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the vision. And since you brought up youth, I am now reminded, how I like to bring into the show my own examples.
Mm-hmm.
I was paying my Comcast cable bill and television bill the other day, and my bill used to be around $160 a month because of what we do and the special internet connection that we have. And then a few times a month I might buy a movie or two.
Mm-hmm.
So my bill has been close to $200 every month. And the other day when I paid it, it was telling me that the next month my bill is going to be $260. And I went like, that is just not possible. I don't watch that many movies.
Yeah.
So I went and looked at the detail. And as I'm looking at the detail, it says wrestling, WWE 24/7 for $7.99 a month. That's a subscription.
Uh-huh.
Playboy is a subscription for $19.99 a month. Howard Stern is a subscription for $10.99 a month. And I went back, and this has been going on since September of last year. And then this month, December, there's a bill there for Little Bitty Committee for $2.99. That's a movie. Then there's another charge for TNA's Turning Point. Now, Turning Point are live wrestling shows.
Uh-huh.
$34.99 a piece.
Wow.
And then there is the last one that's at 10 Black Lesbians for $11.99 a month. Well, no, for a movie, $11.99. So
Mm-hmm.
you're already smiling. You know what's coming. My grandson has been spending a lot of weekends here with my granddaughter to give my son and his wife some private and intimate time on the weekends. And I guess my grandson of 9 years old has been a little busy with the remote control.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you were talking about youth and our boys, and this is what what came into my head.
Mm.
And at first, I was a little bit angry because the total bill since he's been doing this since September is like $200, and I could use that $200 to do something else with. I didn't even enjoy any of these movies. I didn't even know I had it. And so the first thing I did is I called the cable company and I removed all the subscriptions. And then I put Parental Control onto my cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because what I wanted to share about this is that I was suspecting for several months that something like this may be going on, but I didn't follow my intuition. I was too lazy and too busy with other things to look at the detail and really follow through. So I feel partially responsible. And I guess the reason I'm saying this is because I think this is what men need to do, is we also need to look at our part in these things, because I could have stopped this months ago if I really wanted to, and I didn't. So I feel partially responsible. So the next thing I did after I hung up with Comcast is I called my son and I said I have a little problem with my grandson, and I told him what was going on, and I made a request of him not to physically hurt him for this, because my son was really ticked off. And he was going back and forth between really being ticked off and laughing, like how you smiling. Because I think we kind of remember that we were 9-year-olds once too, and if this stuff was available, I think we certainly have tried it, right?
Oh yeah. I'd have got into all of it if I could have found it.
Yeah, so of course, where I was living back then, it wasn't available. So I asked my son to consider taking away something that he loves the most for a while, because I think there needs to be some punishment. And of course, what he loves the most is this video player that's a game, and it's a small one, and he doesn't leave home without it. So that's the last I heard of it. So what do you think?
Well, you brought up a number of interesting points. One of them being that all the little kids and the boys especially, this is a radical man, so of course my concern is especially for the boys. So they everything with the media, with the video, anything like that, that's where they're putting their attention, and it's a lot of attention. And so depending on what they're looking at, and the trick, like we've said, Steve, so many times, most of what they will be seeing is always painting my concern especially is the images that they're always seeing is men or boys in either subservient roles or ridiculous roles where they look foolish or incompetent, et cetera, et cetera. And so the fact that he was able to get in there, they're also very savvy. He's only 9 years old. He was able to do all that. And then it holds that much interest. So as men, especially like that one excellent judo guest of ours said, the fathers of the household I think, should really step up to the plate and be the father of the household and lay down the law regarding what can or can't happen with an eye to cultivating the consciousness and the character of their children, and to bring out manliness in boys, so they're not, that's manliness is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You know what I
So-
mean?
Yeah, I
What
know
did
what you
your
mean, but
son
at
do?
the same-
Did he stop? He stopped it effectively before.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what he did. I haven't talked to him since.
Oh,
This was just a few days ago. So we'll see. I'll talk to him probably in the next year or two. And then I think my recommendation would be to the viewers is that if you have teenagers or even under 12, because obviously at 9 he actually walked up to me the other day and he says, "May I have a device to play with?" And the device he meant, in 9-year-olds talk, a device is anything that you can play games or get on the internet with.
Wow.
and and
Wow.
I have several smartphones in the house, so I have one that's actually 3D, so he likes to play games on that. So, but that's kind of funny. But my recommendation would be to anybody that's listening or watching later or now is to use parental controls on your television and set it up with a password so that they can't order that kind of material and they can't watch that kind of a material either, because I don't think a 9-year-old is really ready for, I mean, they might think they are ready for pornography, but I don't think they are.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so let's talk about New Year's resolutions and how many millions and millions of people make them right at New Year's. And it sounds like a great idea, and everybody's excited. And then a week or two goes by, and business is back as usual. Why is that, Sensei?
Well, it's just a simple subconscious mind to conscious mind ratio. So I was reading about it. I think, I'm not sure if I remember the numbers right, but 75% of the affirmations are gone in something like a week, and then about 35% of them will linger for a few weeks, and then they just die off. And the answer is very, very simple, folks. It's just the way our human brain is designed. The subconscious mind is the thing that's running the show, and it's like a tape recorder. It just has a whole bunch of various tapes, and it is 1 million times stronger than the conscious brain. So you make your affirmation with the conscious brain, but that part of your brain's only active 5% of the
And
day.
the subconscious mind is laughing, going like,
Yes.
"Oh, really? You're gonna do that? Well, guess
Yeah.
what? I have all these other programs running that are much better than your idea."
Yeah. And the great thing is, when, say, you make a resolution to do something with diet, for instance. So the conscious mind figures that out. You got it all planned out, right? But the subconscious mind and your body's chemistry, they're all linked. So the old programs and your old ways of being running through the subconscious mind, when you try to change that, your biochemistry will also feed back to the brain and say, wait a minute, I don't really like this. And the subconscious mind, since it's so much stronger,
We've been doing this for 30 years. Are
Yeah.
you crazy?
Exactly. So the answer to this kind of thing is you need there are a couple of simple ways where that you can make an affirmation and plug it into the subconscious mind instead of the conscious brain. Make your plan, but you need to be able to insert it into the subconscious. So while it's running, 97% of the day, it never stops. So when you're not fully conscious, and none of us are, those programs will take over for you. And that's not hard to do. Just look up Site K. Just look up Rob Williams, the guy that founded Site K. His name is Rob Williams, and I also teach it in Applied Samurai Wisdom. You can find it, Rob Williams, on YouTube. But it's a beautiful, simple, just takes 5 minutes, and you can put any resolution you want right into your subconscious mind, and then it'll be on automatic for you. You won't have to fight to keep it going. That's what I do. I've already done umpteen of them before the new year starts.
Okay, great. So are we also saying that when we have this intention, right, at New Year's, like it's a good intention, and let's just take your example, I guess. Okay, so we're gonna stop smoking. Mm-hmm. How well does that go for people? And maybe smoking is not a good example because that's a chemical addiction. But let's do another one. Let's do this one. Somebody says, okay, so 2013 is coming. It's like 2 minutes to midnight, and my intention is to start a new business the following day.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about starting a new business for the last 10 years. I've been working for somebody else. I'm not satisfied. I just got laid off at the beginning of December.
Yeah.
It's time, I feel, to now be my own boss and start my own business.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The guy feels great. Everything is wonderful. There's energy flowing. He's drinking, toasting. Everything is great. He gets drunk, goes to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the next day he wakes up, and now what?
Yeah, right. Now what? So the long story, and I know you're real familiar with this one, Steve. The long story short with that kind of thing, and I've lived through this myself, is let's say that as a child, when his subconscious mind, our subconscious mind's formed when we're little children. So his mother and father, let's say, as an example, always told him that you're not smart enough to do things on your own. You're best suited to work for somebody. Just get a trade, do your 9 to 5, and you'll be safe. You'll have a pension. You'll have your whatever. But that's all you can do because there's no way you would be smart enough to organize your own business. Something like that. So now the 10 years has gone by. He's made his resolution, and that's in his conscious mind. He probably has enough knowledge in his brain to be able to do it. He knows finances. He may be a very learned man, but when he starts to try to do that resolution, the program in the subconscious mind will short circuit him, and he'll try, he'll go through his efforts, and then you'll see people like this everywhere, and then it just doesn't work. It crashes, it burns, or they just can't get started. They go to start, they can't, because the subconscious mind is the thing that's stopping them, and they don't know that.
Okay, so let me bring in some other feedback from Block TV. We've got a viewer that's giving us some feedback. So 143 Silence in Block TV says that you have to believe in what you want to create. It will happen gradually, but needs positive affirmation. So I think a lot of people think this is that, and The Secret has done a great job with positive affirmations, and there's nothing wrong with positive affirmations, except where this thing goes haywire, I'm just going to share my, my view, and then you can jump right in.
Sure.
So my view is that, first of all, just to have an intention is not enough. It is powerful, but it's not enough. From intention, we have to go to action, and even when we have to make a commitment. And this is good because we're talking about the Radical Men show, and we're doing this on this show. Commitment is the biggest word that men will fear in their life. Would you agree? The commitment word is like men are running when you have to commit to something.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it was always that way. I mean, I'm, as a martial artist, commitment is. I've always been a committed man, but when I went to get married, that commitment scared me for a long time. I even called off the wedding, and then I eloped with my wife later. Whereas to commit myself to an austere life or to spiritual training or to do this show is easy, and I think a lot of men are like that. Commitment to a woman, to a marriage, it's common for us all to run away because I think you start to feel trapped. It's like the age-old thing. An old guy asked me one time when I was younger. I said, "Are you married?" He says, "I was married a long time ago. I got divorced, kid." I said, "What do you think of marriage? Are you going to get married again?" And he says, "Well," he says, do you want to wake up every single day to the same lady for the rest of your life? You're going to make love to her every day for the rest of your life, day after day, week after week, year after year." And he was making like a joke, but at that younger age, it seemed to have a lot of value to it. And so I think commitment and with marriage is difficult, but I think that one of the virtues of a man is actual clarity and the call to action. Men since time began have always been admired for their activity, as Robert Bly would say, and I think it had to do with commitment. But I think there's categories, Steve.
Yeah, well, and beyond commitment, I mean, it's not even that's not enough. Just to make a commitment is not enough, because what's going to happen is just like, I can give you my example of starting this network 9 years ago and where we are today. And I had so many things happening in between these 9 years, and my assistant is my witness because she's been with me for most of it. People come and go, partners come and go. There've been a million reasons that I could have stopped. I had all kinds of things unfolding and happening that most people would just quit and go do something else. And that's a very important quality for people to manifest what they really want, is you have to make a commitment that says, I'm going to do this, doesn't matter what. I don't care what happens. I don't care who says what. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It takes that kind of a commitment. And if you fall off the horse, you have to get back up again.
Yeah, I call that word for commitment. I use the word resolve. They have to have resolve so they can weather adversity. That's a word that I use in that particular sense. Once the trouble really starts to hit, you got to have the heart and the guts to be able to take it on.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So, and I can give you even a closer, probably a much closer example. By the way, welcome back, B Wolf, in Blog TV. It's easier to say it than to type it. So, I even have a closer example to my heart right now that I also would love to share and see what you think. So I've gone into a relationship with a guy 6 months ago that was partner material. He was very conscious, very awake. He loved to be in this conversation. He came from an IT background. The way I found him and the way he found me is he came from out of the blue. He came to a cable TV show, the Living Consciously TV show, and sat in the studio watching the show, and we had a 4-hour conversation afterwards over beer, and he was hooked.
Wow.
And 6 months later, and I really thought that this guy was really a partner material. After 6 months, you know how they say that in any relationship, I don't care if it's business, personal, or intimate, there is a period of time that's like we really put our best foot forward.
Yeah.
So you have to wait, and it's different for different people. So for some people it's 6 months, for some people it's a year, for some people it's longer. They can keep up this facade of putting your best foot forward, but then something will happen.
Yep.
And what happens is the worst of you will surface. And then, and I had said this on so many shows before, because really the test of the relationship is, can you live with what you just experiencing about your partner? And I don't care what kind of partner. In this instance, we're talking about a conscious business partner. Can you live with the worst quality that he or she just showed you? Because if you can't, because most people, what most people would say, they would say, oh, okay, so yeah, he'll change or she'll change, or I'll change him or I'll change her. Guess what? None of that is going to happen. What's going to happen is the ugly truth that you just experienced about your partner, and he or she may have experienced about me. It ain't going away anytime soon. It's going to come up again, over and over. So the question people need to ask, can I live with this? And let me share, because I can't share about what he was experiencing. That's his business. Yeah. My business is I can tell you what I experienced. So what he did is he was here on a Monday working all day, and then we agreed at the end of the day that he will be back the next morning, and we will work on something very important regarding our website for our launch for Conscious Evolution Media. And he didn't show up the next day. I tried everything, Sensei. I called, I texted, I left a voicemail, I emailed, no response. Wednesday goes by, same thing. Thursday goes by, same thing. Thursday was actually Thanksgiving. And guess what? I go, okay, so now I don't really care about the fact that he didn't show up. I'm not concerned about his well-being.
Yeah.
Is he in jail? Yeah. Is he laying in his room somewhere unconscious? What the heck is going on? Because this behavior is not anything that I saw for the last 6 months.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's a good thing that I met his roommate, who's a lady, and she gave me a business card, and I looked for the business card, and I called her. I said, guess what? I haven't seen or heard from this individual, who remains nameless, for days. It's highly unusual. She says to me, well, I haven't seen him either. I says, oh my God, so would you go downstairs and check on him to make sure he's physically okay? So she goes downstairs. She said she's going to call me back. Hours go by. She didn't call me, so I called back hours later. She answers the phone and she says, he's right here. He didn't want to talk to me. He said, she told me that he will get in touch with me later today. That was Thursday on Thanksgiving. I never heard from him. I finally heard from him on Friday. So, keeping the story short, we made up, and I said to him, okay, so if the next time this happens, what do you think I should be doing?
Yeah.
He says, well, you have to do what you have to do. You know, and you can't, I told him, I said, you can't promise me. Listen to me. You're talking to somebody who was a gambler. And I hurt everybody around me. Everybody I loved, I hurt. And I told them, the very people that were the closest to me, every time when I got myself into trouble, I'll never gamble again. Guess what? That was bullshit. Because as soon as I had money again, I was up in the mountains gambling. So I said, you're talking to somebody who actually has this experience. Don't tell me that this isn't going to happen again, because it will. And he says, you just have to do what you have to do. So another several weeks went by, we were working together, and it happened again. The exact same way.
Okay.
Another week, just like it. So I said, you know what? I'm done. I am not willing to play this game. It doesn't work for me.
Of course not. How the hell could it? I don't have any in my you want me to give my feedback on that?
Well, I want you to give me some feedback about my experience. You don't know the guy, and truthfully, I thought I knew him, but obviously I didn't. Because, as I explained, every relationship takes on a modality where you're going to find out what we want to hide from others. Some of the qualities that we have that we don't like about ourselves, it's going to come up. And in relationship, what I say is, if the relationship is important to you, you got to walk through the fire. You got to work through this together.
Yeah.
Because you can work through it. And because there's something I did that activated him, and there's something he did that activated me, because I felt abandoned. That's one of the worst things you can do to me, is to ignore me and don't respond to me. That's one of the worst you can. If you really want to piss me off, just do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but this could be worked together. It could be worked out if people want to. The unfortunate thing is that most people rather not work it through, because it takes too much energy, it takes too much work. They rather replace the partner with a new one. And guess what? It doesn't go away with the new partner. It's going to happen again. Even more intensely than it happened before.
Well, I think you can find some. I think in business, you can find compatibility. You said you wanted me to comment on your experience.
That's all we have to go by.
Well, the only way, I mean, the only thought that I have when you describe what you just said is, one, it's a business relationship. So, based on the fact that it's a business relationship, I think you had the patience of a saint, because there's like mutual responsibility in tasks, and there's such a thing as dependability. So you can you can have people could have all kinds of idiosyncrasies, and over time, of course, they will all surface, just like you say. But uh, I think you were an extremely generous man in that if he was fine, if he wasn't physically ill and et cetera, and he just went off the map, did not have the courtesy to call you in a business relationship where you're depending on him, and then I mean, I would have fired the relationship instantly. The fact you gave it another whole try tells me you're a very patient, forgiving man. But I assume
Well,
based on
Sensei, if it was just a business relationship, I probably would have ended it much faster. But he also has become, in that last 6 months, a very good friend. So we were friends,
oh
and we were
oh
also in business together. So it got a little bit more complex. And I didn't, just because even if we lost the business relationship, I I would have want to find a way to keep the friendship, and I wasn't sure that that was possible, because that again takes two. And but it turned out that possibly we can make that work, that we can be friends. It's to be seen. You know how you in relationship with women, and after it's over, they say to you, we can just be friends. And
yeah,
most
right.
people most people can't. I mean,
No.
I made it work with my ex-wife. I am best friends with my ex-wife. But it takes something to be able to make that work.
Yeah.
Because what makes you think that you couldn't make it work in your current relationship, and not just because you're going to call it, we're going to be friends, now you can make that work? You know what I mean?
Yes, I sure do. So you didn't, when you were telling me about this gentleman, you didn't mention that you had become good friends too.
No,
That
I
changes
didn't.
things. So
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
explain your patience.
right.
Yeah.
But it's over. I'm done.
Well,
He's
just as
done.
of today, I ended a relationship that's about 36 years old, and sort of like for similar reasons. I mean, I've waited. This guy is an older man that was like a father figure to me, and I loved him, still love him very much. And we trained together in Aikido for about 26 years. And we served a teacher. I found out that he died. His name was Kushida, and he died in 2012 here. I just found that out. Um, and the way he died, he was a super powerful man, but he died of a lung condition apparently. And we know in healthcare, lungs are related to grief and sadness. And this man, when he was a younger sensei, was a very powerful, great man, but he became utterly consumed like a narcissist with his own ego and so forth. And my old buddy, I left when I saw that their organization had become sort of like diseased and very off balance, like a cult. And my friend stayed. So I have been waiting patiently for like nearly at least 21 years of just being there, listening to him go on and on, because he's utterly identified with these stories and the dramas, right? And because I love him so much, and we had shared so much together, I go along. But the other day, when he called me about 3, 4 days ago, and he was explaining to me that Kushida had passed away, and he was still he was still um, enmeshed in the drama of that dysfunctional organization. Literally, like almost like, even though he's 88, and very wise in so many ways, fought in 2 wars, raised his 3 boys to be successful men. He's like a groupie. And at my point
That's
in my
interesting.
life now, I can't, I sent him a letter tonight, actually. I will not, I'm no longer willing to solidify his identification with an illusion. So I sever the relationship. I did it with love, but I wrote him out in detail. I spoke my piece for to make it clear my reasons why and so forth. And I just can't sustain the relationship. There's no integrity. It's like when he's talking to me, he doesn't even know who I am. He's just seeing me through some lens. Uh, you follow me? You know where I'm at?
I'm trying. Are we talking about two separate people here? You were talking about a person that
Well, we
that
both served Kushida, and my best friend, he was my best friend for like nearly 36 years. So to sever that today was a big deal for me.
Okay, but who's the
We
guy?
both
Who's
served.
the guy with the lung disease?
He was the sensei. He died. He died last year,
Okay,
fairly young, in his 70s.
but this is a different person you're
Yeah,
talking
my
about.
best friend. We
Okay, your
we
best friend.
trained
Okay.
together under him.
Okay, got it. Now it's
Yeah.
clear. Okay.
But my point being, like your relationship with this gentleman that you liked, uh, I did. I was patient, hoping that he would wake up and become more conscious and come out of that mesmerized state for like 21 years, 25 years, something like that.
Oh
It just
wow.
isn't happening. So I
Mm.
made that decision, and I said, okay, after all this time, I'm through. I'm done. And it wasn't easy, but I think it's necessary. You have to know, you have to have your own boundaries of what you can or can't put up with and what you're
Mm.
willing to give your time to. So that's what I did too. Sort of like yours, a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, mine was 6 months. Yours was 20 some years.
Yeah, long, long, long time. And
Yeah.
it's
What is it?
funny.
What is that about us that we're willing to go that long?
Well, because you see, when you have a lot of heart and you're not just dealing with stories up here, you have a lot of compassion. Like I have a lot of
Mm.
compassion for my buddy because I know he's unconscious. He doesn't know that he doesn't know. And he's a
Mm.
loving, wonderful man, very, very good man. But when you talk to him, you can't have a conversation because he's not there. He's just going in. It's like subconscious little ghosts that he
Mm.
just keeps talking about endlessly. It's a darn shame, but so your answer is you're another man with a big, big heart. That's why. The smaller the heart, the quicker you'll cut the line quicker. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean we don't love them anymore. It just
Yeah,
means
no, it doesn't. It's just it's not
time is
working. It's
time
just
is
not working.
important.
Yeah, it's just not working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is also a good thing to say on the show is that as people examine their relationships, because it's a new year, it's a new beginning, is to we need to encourage people to relationships that do not work. And what I mean, how do I define relationships that do not work? Well, the way I define it is like a bank account. If it's in negative, it ain't working. It needs to be closed. Just like if you keep your bank account in the negative long enough, it doesn't take very long, the bank will close the account.
That's
We
good.
need to do the same thing. If the relationship, if there is less enjoyment, uh, positiveness, laughter, it's not easy. It's you feel like you are stuck. you're trapped. Those are all the signals that the relationship is in negative. And a lot of people stay in those relationships for many years. Not just because they have a big heart, it's because it's what's comfortable. They don't want to, they're afraid to lose the relationship. They don't want to experience the loss. And I'm telling you that keeping those kind of relationships around actually has a huge effect on who we are as a human being, because it drags our energy, it takes our energy away.
Yes, that's where my friend that I just left, that's what he's doing. See, he's keeping allegiance to a super dysfunctional relationship, and not only that, in that organization, the people who run it now, they think of my friend as a bumbling idiot, and they have uh, always used and abused him, and he stays there. I left way back in my 20s. He stays there, and why do people stay in these things? It's identification. They identify, even though it's a painful, horrible relationship. They identify with it. It gives them a sense of being somebody. I am the abused man or the abused woman. I am and they identify with it. And people like Steve and I in these shows, in fact, all of Conscious Evolution Media is trying to cure that. So people aren't identified with a false sense of self or some other kind of idiotic story. So it's tricky. It goes in levels. In your case,
yeah. So,
go ahead.
well, I think we want to encourage everybody to complete these relationships. Be truthful to yourself, and and that's how I live my life. I'm being truthful to myself. If it isn't working, admit it, and be truthful and complete the relationship, because the only person that's really suffering is you. The other person is out there doing whatever it is that they're doing. They're too busy to even think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So complete these unhealthy relationships, I think, is a big deal moving forward this year.
May I put a little plug in here about my class, Steve?
Sure, please do.
In terms of what Steve is referring to for relationships and for moving forward in 2013 in all the various ways you might have in your mind, see if I can give you a hand. I have on the show, when you scroll down, it says my online coaching, and that's called Applied Samurai Wisdom. And that is where I really get to share all of the things that I've learned about life by living and by studying for over 40 years. And the first video on there, it's free, and then it's a subscription. And I want you to know that next Friday I am going to be filming a new intro video. This first one is fairly long. It's about an hour long, and we're going to make a shorter one because it seems like I talk too long in it. But I would love to invite you to take a look at it very seriously. I am a real lineage sensei, and I am a doctor, and I pool all of these things together in a unique Zen-like approach for human development, and it will impact your relationships, your business, and your health. So I hope you'll take a look and join me. Give yourself about 3 months to try. You can cancel any time, of course, and give yourself a little bit of a chance to see and feel the changes, because I actually teach you once a month actual exercises. It's experiential. It's not a lecture. It's experiential. So I just wanted to say that and invite people to that.
Okay, great. And what's the website again?
The website is called Applied Samurai Wisdom. That's all one word, appliedsamuraiwisdom.com. And you'll come right to it, or when you scroll down here on Radical Man, Steve has it all set up for me right there.
All right,
So
fantastic.
I hope I'll see you there.
Yeah, and I also want to recommend Sensei because of his simplicity. So although he does like to talk for a long time, but the important thing is that he has a way of sorting out in a simple way, just like a samurai, what is really important in terms of living a happy, healthy, and prosperous life. And I think more and more people are interested in that, and there are many different ways that anybody can go about getting assistance. And again, people will be attracted to certain professionals.
Yeah.
So Sensei is not for everybody, and everybody is not for Sensei. So give yourself the gift of at least having a conversation with him and see if it's a relationship that is working for the both of you, and that's all we can ask for, right,
Yeah,
Sensei?
that'd be great. For sure.
Because I don't want all the clients out there either, because everybody is not for me, and vice versa.
And also, folks, check out all of the other. Steve has so many awesome shows with so many different varied guests and subject matter. He keep you busy a long time. Check out the span and scope of his network.
Yeah, there are thousands of videos and thousands of blogs, and I was just recently checking out. Google is now crawling us and indexing us every day.
Wow.
And last time I looked was yesterday, and we've been indexed 233,000 times, which means that in Google's database we have 233,000 unique content.
Wow.
That's a lot of content.
Yeah, that's awesome, Steve. That's awesome.
And I think by the end of this year it will be in the millions. So I love what we're doing.
Yeah.
I love the show with you, Sensei, because it's really made for men, and there's so many things available for women, and it's great for them and more power to them. But I think it's time that men also start sticking together, because this lonely wolf business is not working.
And remember, gentlemen, all of you guys out there, if you watch television, you watch movies or whatever, do yourself and all of the men a favor. Don't watch things that humiliate men, make men out to be stupid, subservient, or weak. Don't watch it. Don't put it in your mind. Don't let your boys watch it, and don't put money toward those kinds of things. Be proud of being a man and cultivate yourself as a man, and do the same for your boys. It's a wonderful thing to be a man, and it isn't easy, but you'll never find it watching those kind of shows.
Awesome message. Thank you, Sensei, and that really brings us to the end of the show.
Okay.
We will see you, of course, always on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until next week, have a very prosperous week, and don't forget your New Year resolutions. And for a change, keep them.
Yeah, that's right.
See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.
Today's podcast is brought to you by ObesityHotline.com, the silent killer, providing support and encouragement in the prevention of this rising epidemic. Featuring the Body by Vi Challenge. Is there a quick answer to the question? Go to www.obesityhotline.com. You're watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media. Shifting global consciousness at consciousevolutionmedia.com.